Hello everyone, welcome to the Google Snippets channel. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe because it enables the YouTube algorithm help me push my content out there. So this channel is all about the Go programming language and code snippets to perform different functionalities using the Go programming language. And today we'll be talking about uploading files using Go. So without further ado, let's go. So we'll be assuming that we are uploading image files, although this procedure actually works for every other file types, but we'll just be using image files as our example for this video. So to upload a file, we just simply have a func upload file that takes in an HTTP response writer and a pointer to HTTP request. This is like the signature function parameters for HTTP handlers. So the first thing we do is we load our index.html as a template. So in my project structure, I have my index.html in the same directory as my main.go file. So I'll just call it directly. So if it was to be in another directory, I'll just root the directory with respect to the current directory where my main.go file is. That is how template path file works. So after that, we'll switch on the request method. If the method is a get, we just simply write nothing into the response writer. So this particular second parameter that template.execute get is if you want to write a data into the response writer, but since a get, you just want to just get. So we just write nothing into it, then we'll execute it into the template with our index.html. Else, if it is a post method, we'll call a form file r.form file request form file. So request form file returns three parameters: the file itself, then the file header, and an error. So this file is not a type OS file because most times files in Golang are always something relating to package OS, but this one is package multi-path. So which is in directory path / multi-path. So this is a multi-path file. So if there's an error, we just handle the error. And if there's no error, we will defer and we'll return if there's an error, because if there's an error getting the file, I don't think we should move on with the program. Else we defer the closing of the file. So this name here, profile pic, is actually the name that we gave to, because in our front end there I have an input of type file with this name profile pic. So this name here is what we use to call file inputs and form inputs in the backend. So that's what is happening here. Then after that, we get the file name from the file header. So this here is type multi-path, pointer to multi-path file header. So we use it to call the file name. So it has a field file name that gives us the name of the file we are trying to upload. So we write it to standard output. Then moving on, we get the extension from the file name. So we use filepath.x. So this filepath.x is from package path/file path from the standard library. So we'll also write the file extension to standard output. Then from there we'll just check. So this particular block of code is just checking if the file we're trying to upload is an image file with these three extensions. So if the file is not an image file with these three extensions, if it's a file with an extension with either of these three extensions, we'll just write to standard output file accepted. Else we'll return an error to the front end, and we'll also write to standard output that there's a message. They will write a message to standard output that there's an error somewhere. Then we'll return from the function. Then from there we'll read the body of the file. If there's an error also, although an error should not occur, but if for some reason an error occurs, we'll also handle the error here. So I made the video on error handling in Go. So I'll leave a link in the description below. Make sure you check it out if you don't really grasp the concept of error handling in Go. Then from there, so we'll create a storage file. So this is just like asking the machine to like give us some space to store something. So we'll create a storage file with os create. So os create takes in the name of the file if the file is meant to be in the current directory, or if it's meant to be in another directory, it's going to take in the path to that directory. So for here now, from our current directory, we are going to the image directory. So that's where we want to put our file in. So we'll just create a storage file that will be the name that will be having the name of the file we are trying to upload inside our image directory. So if there's an error, we also handle the error. Then we'll defer the closing of the storage file. So deferring is like a rule of thumb in Go. So you're working with files in Go, there's a very good chance that we run into this close method. So whenever you run into the close method, it's a good thing to always close. So sometimes the file you are working with or the type you are working with might not actually have a close method directly on it, but might implement the IO closer interface or IO read closer interface. So you should always check for that also. And if it implements any of those two interfaces, so it's always good to call a close method on it. So after all is said and done, the particular piece of code won't be holding on to memory it is not using. Because all we just want to do is just create. After creating, we want to actually close it. But then if you close it here, we'll be able to write into it later, because here we are writing into it the byte slice we read from the file we are trying to upload. So if you close it at this point, we won't be able to use it later. But then if you don't close it also, and after we write everything we want to do with the file, let's say there's like a large piece of code after this. There's like a large piece of code here. Piece of code here. And after the piece of code, after we've done that, we are ready to close it. We forgot to close it. That's also another problem. So it should just be holding on to memory it is not using. So that's why we are just defining it, meaning that before the function closes it, it actually closes the file first. So after that, we write into the storage file what we read from the file we are trying to upload, and from there we get the image names from the file in the image directory. So this read image directory name is just a function, an helper function I wrote up here. So what it just does is just read the images directory, then range over each file in the image directory, then append their name to image name, then return image name, and if there's no error, because we've gotten a slice of string and an error, and an error only occur if for some reason we couldn't read the images directory. So that is just, then after that we just write the image names into the response writer and execute it into the template, which is our index.html. Then this default case here is just if the method is not a post or is not a get, so it just writes back to the front end that status method not allowed. So this HTTP status text, HTTP status method not allowed, means it's going to write to the front end status method not allowed with error code status method not allowed. Then in our main function, we just simply, to the default route, we pass our undo upload function to the default route. So if we call our default route on port 8080, because that's the port we are serving on, so it's going to call our undo upload. Then the second part is just to like serve the files in the image directory. So I made a video on serving files and routing generally in Go, so I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check it out later if you don't understand this particular part. Then we'll be serving our API on port 8080. So that is how the backend works. Then for the front end, the first piece of this part is just the usual form with method post. Then it has two inputs tags. The first one is the type file, and the second one is the type submit. So there's one other thing you need to take notes here, is that when you're dealing with form uploads, I don't know of other languages, but in Go you have to make sure that you make the end type, you have to send the end type to multi-part slash form data, because this is not the default end type, so you have to set it to multi-part form data. So then from there, this particular part is just how templates, how you deal with templates, or how you deal with data passed into templates in Go. So I also made a video on Go and text and HTML templating. So I'll leave a link in the description below. If you don't understand this part, also check it out. So that is what this particular part does, and this only happens when the method becomes a post method. If it is not a post method, it won't happen. So that is how this place goes. So I'll just simply run the code, go on main.go, go on main.go. Okay, so guys, in my browser window, if I visit localhost 8080, I'm having this, so I can just choose a file, choose a file. No, I can't choose that file. It has to be an image file. Sorry, here's my pictures. I choose a ship. Okay, I upload it. So I'm having my sheet, and I can choose another file and .jpg, and I'll upload it. Then it becomes this, and I can choose as many files as I want. And that is it for today's video. So once again, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you do. And also, if you have anything to say, drop it in the comment section below. I really like to read your you people's content and you people's comments. And if you have any other thing you have to say concerning the video, or if you have any suggestions, also drop it in the comment section.